Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have CL Thomas and Kimberly Lloyd.
From Las Vegas, Nevada.
All the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. So, CL, you have a podcast. Tell us all about it.
I do. I have a paranormal podcast. It's called Small Town Tales from somewhere in the Mojave. You can find it at anywhere on any platform if you just look up Small Town Tales podcast, and it's about paranormal tales and legends in the paranormal realm. So if you like scary ghosts and just different things like that, you should listen to it.
What made you want to do the paranormal?
So I've had a lot of weird experiences since I was a little kid, and I've been exploring that ever since.
Give us a gist. What kind of experience?
So when I was 2 years old, I had kind of a pretend friend. It was an older man who would hang out, and he's actually the first memory that I have. At two.
That's a long time ago.
Yes.
How long? What's the youngest age you remember, Kimberly?
I remember being about 5 when I had my first experience. She's impressive.
About 2, 3, somewhere in there. And it went on from there. I saw my grandmother after she had passed, before anyone knew about it. She came and visited me and said, "Tell your father that I'm going to meet, or that I'm okay." Yeah, it's an ongoing thing.
Okay, maybe you're Roma. You know Roma Gypsy?
Yes.
Maybe you're one of them.
I do have some Romanian blood in me.
Actually, we just came back from Romania. That's how we met.
Yeah.
We both live in Vegas, but we were on a tour because we do tours. They actually have mysterious adventure tours. We'll put a plug into that company. They travel around to all different cities, countries, states, and they go to like either dark tours, paranormal, anything mythical, legendary, magical, all kinds of different types of tours. It's like a big tourist type of thing, and that's how we met. We actually went to Romania in November last year, 2022, and we're on like a 10-day tour all through Romania, and it was a vampire theme.
Okay,
It was great.
Dracula.
With Count Dracula.
You know the story of him, I take it?
Yes.
Count Dracula the Impaler.
Yes, we were Vlad, yes.
Vlad the Impaler.
We traveled all over to his birthplaces where he supposedly held people captive. Where else did we see? It was fun.
Oh, we saw all kinds of castle. Corvin Castle is probably one of my favorite places. We went to how do you say it?
I forgot the name.
The Bachi Hoya Forest?
The forest, the very scary
the
forest,
name
and it was full of fog. We couldn't even see right in front of us, and we were there at night.
There was a lady in that period of time who used to sacrifice virgins and bathe in their blood. Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
Yeah, we did hear about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was from the same country.
I'm not sure if it is or not.
Yeah. Okay. So your stories, you're saying you had these visions or experiences.
Yes.
Is there any ones that you've had as an adult?
Yes, plenty of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to share that?
I can. So there's one I'll share. I had a really good friend who passed away about 10 years ago now. He was a really good friend. And when he died, nobody could find the will to know what to do with the property. It was a real quick death. So nobody could find his will, and he actually visited me in a dream and told me where it was. And I was able to go back and tell his significant other at the time where it was. It was underneath a printer in his office space. And I told her, and she went directly there and found it, and now she thinks I'm a witch and is actually afraid of me.
Instead of saying thank you
For the money that I needed.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
If I'm a witch, you better give me a cut.
Yeah. I'll put a curse on you, voodoo.
Yeah, so, it's weird.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think a lot of people don't like to talk about their experiences because they're afraid of that exact thing.
Yeah.
The ridicule if you have abilities, but I think don't we all kind of have the ability to see things if we need to?
But it's interesting you say that. So it depends. I think it depends on the culture.
It sure
It
does.
does.
Because
Yes.
I've had experiences where, like, when you drive, and suddenly you may drive along, you're coming to the end of the shift, but you end up driving much further than you expected to drop someone.
Yes.
So instead of, for safety reasons, I drop the seat back and go to sleep.
Yes.
And I felt something pulling on my seat, pushing my seat. And then this kind of face came
I've had that happen
to me here. And he just really got up close. But it's like a paper cartoon, kind of a weird face. It's hard to describe. So I'm thinking, well, I gotta try to fight these things. So I'm trying to move, but I can't move.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if I could just open this door, I can kind of roll out and then open that door and bam, bam, bam. But I couldn't. So I told my aunt, me being Jamaican heritage, it's just the norm. And she said, oh yes, that happens all the time. Normally they try to suppress you.
Oh, right.
Like they pin you down. And I suppose because I'm sitting, that she said, she's explaining her experiences and what different people in the family have that. But she said the strange thing was of the other creature pushing and pulling. But I'm a strong believer in the spirit world.
Absolutely.
If you see what I mean. I don't think, I'm not ignorant enough to feel that it's just us here.
Right.
You know, in that respect. But
well, everything's energy, right?
yeah.
And everything happens for a reason, and you meet the people you're supposed to meet to have these kinds of interesting conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, there's a lot of people that are into this, and I think this is a good opportunity for people to open up to being able to realize that, you know, they all have experiences and people are afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be embarrassed or be made fun of. But, you know, this is really a common thing anymore. You know, we all have these weird experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, since we're little, almost every person we've met said they've had things happen when they were very little. And then either their parents didn't want to talk about it or thought that they were just imagining it or had like a play friend, imaginary friend. And it was really something else. And then they just kind of told them, oh, now you made that up, you know, or you didn't really see that. But yeah, we just came off of a big paranormal tour. We went to Germany first and went to all the castles and a lot of haunted locations, and also went to Prague for 2 days. And we just were on our way back to Vegas when our flight, we missed the cutoff to board, and so here we are with you.
Let's tell them about Huska Castle.
Yeah, and a lot of us that came on the trip have abilities, like, you know, Crystal and I work as a psychic medium in Vegas.
Okay.
And, you know, we've had these experiences since we're very little. And so all of the people on our tour have either podcasts or some of them have been on TV with ghost shows.
Many of us have written books.
There's authors, there's podcasters on there. So we'll make sure to put a plug for you with all of our friends
Yes,
to follow you. Right. So you'll get a whole bunch of Americans and Australians that'll follow you now, okay?
Okay, great.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, tell them about Huska.
One of the castles we visit. Oh, I'm sorry. We're just kind of taking on.
He doesn't mind.
Yeah, go on.
One of the castles that we went to is called Huska Castle, and it was built to keep something in instead of keeping something out. So think about that.
Yeah.
So there's a well there that they said has a bunch of demons and stuff in it from like 11th century, and this guy, I forget his name, I'm assuming it's Huska, had built a castle to keep the demon in. The town thought that whatever was coming from the well was causing all kinds of bad things to happen in the town. So now the new owner of this castle, you know, he opens it up for like tours and stuff, but everyone says it's very haunted. We went there, and in the basement, the owners tried to put all kinds of demonic objects around. Like
witchcraft stuff.
Yeah. You know, just to try to build their tour industry kind of thing. But when we went down there, we kind of felt like a very heavy presence, like someone's doing ritualistic work
down there.
Still. And the minute we said that, there's like this doll thing down there, and it's of a Satan doll. And it's in this chair. It actually moved to a different chair. Now, somebody could have moved it, true. But as soon as we asked the question, who moved the doll, there was a heavy, I don't know what that thing was.
Kind of an iron pendulum, or like...
It was like an upside down cross with a claw
at the top that swings.
It started swinging.
And we heard a noise behind us when we first went down there. And we were the only two people down there.
Yeah, so there was Huska Castle. There's really something to it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I mean, every city and every town has myths and legends, but really, are they myths? They're based on something.
And also, people sacrificial things have been very common. Like England was, in the Druid days, one of the main places in the world for witchcraft.
Oh, sure, right.
Yeah, so obviously we've got a Stonehenge, and Halloween is based on giving us the virgins to sacrifice.
Yes.
And all of those things. Your titles that you said, what did you say your titles were?
You mean as far as work?
Yeah.
Oh, a psychic medium?
So can you explain what that is exactly?
Well, I hate to use the word psychic a lot of times because it conjures up thought processes, but a lot of times people will use the word intuitive rather than psychic. Psychic is somebody who gets psychic impressions, and or a lot of times it's associated with somebody who does card readings like tarot. But I use the psychic medium as like somebody who can communicate with the dead and people that have crossed over. So mediums generally are people that can talk to the dead. They can like make an outbound phone call and receive an incoming, and they can communicate with those that have passed on. It could be animals, could be people. And a lot of people will say that a psychic, you can get psychic impressions about people, but it's not quite exactly the same. So it's every psychic or every medium is psychic, but not every psychic is a medium.
Yes.
Type of thing. But that's what a medium does, is generally talk and communicate with departed loved ones or animals. Or even places, to be honest with you. We can get psychic impressions of places and what has gone on in history in a location.
And we all seem to have different gifts with it too, such as Kim here can do, she uses energy to do a lot of cleansings and healings and things of that nature. I am more of a communicator. I do a lot of evidential mediumship where I actually draw the person who has passed away without seeing them for a client. So I do a lot of spirit art and things like that.
Do you ever do ayahuasca?
I haven't.
I have not.
Okay. Because
it's popular.
It's meant to be that natural kind of allows you to go into the spirit world. Kind of thing.
It's very popular in America, and a lot of Peruvian shamans will come do ceremony in America, and people will go do ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah. It's quite common. I just haven't personally done it.
Okay.
It's supposed to be magnificent as far as helping people to kind of get out of their kind of block and, get into their abilities. Their true abilities.
My ex did it, and she said there's a lot of Americans on the trip. She went to Peru.
Yeah, Peruvian, yeah.
And there's a lady there. They ask you a lot of questions about your health, your mental status.
Yes.
And she said there's a lady there who shouldn't have done it.
It can be dangerous. Yeah. It absolutely can be. Yep.
It's interesting you bring it up, though, because a lot of this really is about healing spiritually. If you're seeking stuff out like this, chances are you have gone through something that you're trying to heal from. And I think that's something that's missed in the paranormal world with all the TV shows and things like that. It's really not about the dead, it's more about the living, if you think about it.
And the dead are trying to come to the living to bring healing to them because they know they're sad or they feel guilty about things. She's right about that. It's really more about healing rather than being silly and
running through buildings
and scaring people. And it's more about that they just want to be acknowledged that they once lived or that they went through something. And a lot of times after somebody acknowledges that they're there or just says, hey, we're sorry you went through that, they move on.
Yeah.
So based on your experiences, it sounds like you ladies have had some extent experiences. Would you say you are believers in any form of religion?
Sure. Sure.
I think there's truth in all religions.
All of it. And I think they all are really the same source. They're just practiced different with the formalities or the...
There's definitely some sort of collective thought or higher nature.
Yep.
What am I trying to say?
It's the same. Like it's, collective.
There's definitely a higher power, whether it's a collective spiritual thing, a God, whatever that is, there's definitely something higher than what we are. Yeah.
Collective source.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think all religions are really rooted in the same collective source, and everybody just chooses how they practice it.
They all practice, they all say the same thing, right? They all say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. However, the part where religion gets into trouble is where they they have that dogma where if you don't believe
it's only
us,
one way is the right way.
I think that's where the hang up is. If people could all learn that really it's all the same. People are the same everywhere you go.
Because the attitude is everybody should be nice.
Right.
And compassionate and kind, like the Buddhist, yeah.
And
Loving to one another and accepting.
It's interesting. Do you see yourselves, because this is kind of a lifetime commitment, your profession's what you do. Do you see yourself doing anything else, or is it just this is what you do?
We've been talking about this on the trip, as a matter of fact.
I'm actually an artist. I paint, I write, I'm an author. I do a lot of photography and stuff like that.
Okay.
I want to help people more with their houses, because you spend a lot of time in your homes, and there's a lot of energy that can get collected, through experiences, heavy experiences. Maybe somebody went through an illness or sadness or a breakup, or even just the people that maybe lived in your home before you came there. It leaves an imprint behind, and I'm really a big fan on cleansing the land or the area for people, because I found just in the work that I've done with the real estate part, which gives me kind of a nice chance to be in a lot of properties. Sometimes the same property, all of the people that live there will keep continuing to have the same experiences. Like you'll see that everybody that lives in that house had a divorce, or everybody that moved in there got sick, or it's just kind of interesting how sometimes you'll see a pattern to something. So if you can clear that imprint of whatever happened there, usually people can have, good success, because we're all supposed to be able to be comfortable and happy and relaxed in our homes. And homes can actually make you sick. He's a really good driver. I like him.
This guy's just driving slow like no one else is trying
Exactly.
to get
Well, like he has all day to get where he's trying to go. We're just trying to squeeze in beautiful London, and there's no accidents. We're so glad to have met you. There's no accident on anything, is there really ever?
I had an experience when I was moved into I was in children's home from a very young age, and then I got fostered and adopted. And I remember when I first came to the adoption parents, I used to go to bed, and I used to dread going to bed. So I used to feel this pain in my sides, like I'd have been stabbed.
Stabbed? Yep.
Yeah, and it was really thing, and I never told anyone about it. But I remember years later when I ended up living with my birth father's family, my granddad. We was talking about a cousin on my mum's side who was stabbed to death, and it was about the same time. And it was weird because a part of me believes I was probably feeling his pain.
Yeah.
It's totally possible.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I had another cousin. We've got a large family, so I had another cousin who killed himself. And he had an argument with his brother before he killed himself. And his brother was saying, how he's planning on killing himself, and his brother's telling him, don't be stupid and all that kind of thing. And my aunt was sleeping in sitting room, and she could hear the voices of the argument and everything said, and then she heard a car door slam, a car drive off loud, and then steps, and then him opening the window, and then when he jumped out and he hit the floor, the sewing machine jumped off the table and was smashed on the floor. She got scared and went and slept with her mum in the thing, but it was, and then months later we found out, because we found out he had died, he had committed suicide.
Yep.
So it's interesting with all these occurrences.
Yep.
And stuff, Yeah.
So humans are supposed to be made up of energy, and energy never dies. It just gets transferred.
Have you heard the rumour about the pyramids now? But because they're saying because officially no kings were found in the pyramids. That the pyramids are all about energy.
Yes.
And
I've
that's
heard
why
this.
we're finding pyramids in the rainforest.
Yep.
and other places in the world.
And interestingly, they're all over the world and they're similar in nature, but yet at that time they weren't communicating supposedly with each other.
And they're also located on those
major
lines.
Points. Yeah, major ley lines.
Ley lines, that's what it is.
That kind of thing tells me that there's a big civilization prior to us, which is in essence more advanced.
More advanced, correct, yep.
But in our ignorance, because we don't see, we look for what we know, but we don't look for what we don't know.
Right.
True.
And I think that's where we fall down, and people think, oh, because we don't have a SIM card, then they can't have been technical.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Yet they were.
Yeah. But then if you think of us, let's say us in 1,000 years, people say, well, right, they built some of the buildings, and some are okay, some are terrible, but all our technology, we'd have no books. So these Sims, they just left these little metal things everywhere.
Oh, right, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So it'll be interesting how people look at things.
This is a really bad analogy, but I remember when I was a kid and we were doing some studying on Egypt, and we built a mummy and a sarcophagus and all of this stuff, and we had this is our social studies teacher. What was hilarious is we were all supposed to try to come up with an idea of what if people in the future found some of the things that we had created, what they might be. And so our team had come up with a toilet seat with the cover, when you put the cover down, that you would have put it over your head, and then the cover would have been on the back of your head like a piece of jewelry. And so, that would have been 300-400 years into the future. If somebody found a toilet seat just laying in the ground, what would it have been? We're thinking the people in the future might think it was a headpiece.
Yeah, or a protective measure.
Or protective,
maybe.
like a helmet, yeah. And so it's just funny how you're right about that. What would they be thinking these little metal pieces are? And then they'll look at us and think we were so basic,
Have you ever had an experience where you had to say to the client, I don't think I can help you on this?
I have. Yes, I have.
Absolutely.
Yep. Sometimes you're just not the right fit, or you just don't make the good connection. But it also matters, too, if the person comes in a little skeptical or coming in very blocked or just doesn't quite believe. It's probably not going to be a great connection. But then again, it's just like people. Sometimes we connect and relate better to certain people than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everybody's styles are different, how they connect to spirit. So, maybe somebody else would be, a better fit. And sometimes the people don't always necessarily show up. The dead folks may be doing something else. It's not always that they're going to come and that they're available.
I suppose if they're at peace, but if the dead person's at peace and the other person's not, then it's like, well...
They generally will try to come and comfort the person. It's just maybe the person's in so much grief that they're just not able to see that they had been showing up. But I think the pretty common one that I get a lot is they'll come in the dream. That's a pretty common one. They'll come visit them in a dream to let them know that they're okay.
Have you ever had someone who had no faith, but then realised, then kind of got a result, and their mindset's just changed now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And that's the thing she was mentioning earlier called the evidential mediumship. You give them some kind of a piece of information that there's no way you could have known it. Like it's something so specific to that person, or maybe only the two of them knew about it. Or it could have been something that happened in the family years ago, and they went and talked to another family member that brought it up and said, oh yeah, we have that picture of them in this yellow dress with this hat and this, or they went to like a certain, or they'll tell you something that nobody in the family knew except for like one person. So how could you know? You couldn't. But then somebody again could go skeptical and say, oh well, you're just working with the devil told you that, so it's a little shocking.
To give you an example, my most recent client, what I do is the person will sit for me for maybe 10 minutes, and then I start to draw. I don't ask questions or anything.
Yeah.
And I did this for a lady, and what I got was this man with a flannel shirt. So I sketched him out and drew the flannel, and then around him I saw like deer antlers and animal pelts, a sword, and then I saw some magical stuff that I kind of sketched on the side. I got a name, I put his name in there, and it turned out that when she saw the photo, she started crying. And I did get a message, and all it said was, I'm in a better place. Now, I don't know what any of this stuff means, right? It's just on the photo. It's on the picture that I colored in and all that stuff and showed it to her. So I don't try to build a story or anything.
Okay.
And
you just give them the facts.
Just give them the information, because it's the spirit giving you the information, yeah?
when she saw it, she started bawling. She goes, this was a friend who had just passed away. He took his own life. And the statement, I'm in a better place now, it's because he was dealing with depression and mental illness for the last, I don't know how long. She said he used to wear flannels all the time. He was into magic. I heard the word warlock, and that's what I put on the side of the thing. He was into some kind of magical working. His name was in there. Again, I can't recall the name that I got, but it was his first name. And he was a taxidermist. So that was all the animal stuff around him. So it's stuff like that just little bits. It's not like we're saying, oh, you're going to be rich tomorrow and the lottery ticket is this or that. It doesn't work like that. That's not what we're doing.
Do you ever get fearful and kind of stop because the spirit or something just really makes you feel uncomfortable?
Yes, absolutely.
So you, not Kimberly, and you...
Not as often, but I mean, it has happened, sure. Sometimes it's just not safe and you just get out.
Yeah.
You just leave. But she brings up a good point too. It's just to remember that it's the spirit that's coming through and giving the message, and we just have to be in a space to be receptive and listen and not make it about our ego or us. It's them doing the talking, and we're just listening really well.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting.
It really is like a telephone call.
It is a phone
like you
call.
said earlier.
Yep. It's just a phone call, and we just have a good connection.
So you spoke about a lot of your people are into the psychic world. Do you work with people who witchcraft, those kind of things, or you just say, well, we don't kind of work with those people?
I don't get a lot into that. I mean, I do have a lot of clients who maybe, let's put it this way, go in that direction or want to have more control over their lives, and they mess and dabble with things maybe that create kind of a negative outcome for themselves. So they come and they want to have cleansings or to get better because they've had a bad experience after something. So more of that. There are people who will do what you said, but I kind of shy away from some of that. But I mostly work with people who have gone to other people like that and have had a bad experience, like, maybe a negative experience, and so then we have to cleanse and help them because they've had either, I don't want to overuse the word curse put on them, but it can happen. So we have to do cleansings to help them. But I think a lot of people, just because they feel out of control, and there's no judgment on this, they'll go onto YouTube and TikTok and sometimes watch videos and then put spells or things together that they've watched on there, and then sometimes it doesn't work out very well for them.
Yeah, I typically don't dabble in that. No, I do collect occult books and stuff just because I think it's fascinating and interesting.
Yes.
But I myself don't actually do any of that kind of stuff.
We have a respect for the practice. It has merit, but I don't think I'm too interested in going too deep into it.
And truthfully, to connect to spirit, you don't need a candle. It's all about intent, right? So you don't need a candle to do a certain meditation or anything like that. That's just bogus. So if you have a psychic that's telling you need to buy a $20 candle because it's been blessed or whatever, it's not true. You don't really need the items. It's all about mental intention.
I suppose that's where you get people who make your job harder, because you get people who are fake, who just say it because they think this is a quick buck and they can make loads of money.
You can say that. There's quite a few in the paranormal field that are. There's a couple celebrities, I won't name any names, that are doing just that. They're just out there trying to make a buck.
You should name names so people don't go to them. This isn't America, they can't sue you.
This is a small world anymore, though.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I hear what you're saying.
I think eventually they take care of themselves because the reputation and just, if the intention isn't good, eventually the word gets around, and it has a way of eventually taking care of itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been an interesting journey, ladies. A good interview.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
We're coming to the end. Remind us, where can people find you if they want your services, if they want to follow you on social media?
I'm real easy to find. It's author C.L. Thomas. If you actually go to clthomas.org, you'll be able to find everything.
And that's Thomas, Thomas.
Yes, it is.
Okay, .org. And Kimberly?
You can find me, the best way for the moment is at Facebook under the name Kimberly, that's L-Y, Anderson, S-O-N, Lloyd, L-L-O-Y-D. Kimberly Anderson Lloyd. But coming soon, www.parakim.com.
Okay. I hope you registered that name already.
I did. Parakim.com is coming to you soon.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank
Blessings.
you.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.